Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you spending time with us. My name is Tom Higgins. I'm a 22-year Chelsea resident. I live with my wife Mandy on Madison Street and our oldest daughter. And I'm a generally curious person who loves to learn the story behind a person. And that was the start of Time Travels with Tom. And I approached the Senior Center, and they were excited because they're celebrating their 60th anniversary, and they thought it would be a great program to feature this year. So let me tell you a little story about today's guest. So back in 2017, my wife Mandy and I were sitting on our front porch. It was June. I think our mic just went off. And, yeah. And
I think it flopped off.
There, it's back on.
hello, hello, hello. Is it on?
Yeah,
Okay.
it has lights on.
Flopped on the column.
I think this. Hello, hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
it's on.
Should I do something?
It just flopped over in the column.
I can hold it too. That's preferred.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, try it now.
Hello, hello, hello. There we go. So back in 2017, Mandy and I were sitting on our front porch. It was a beautiful day. And this woman named Jan Bernath stopped over and asked if we would put our house on the house walk in the holiday. And so I don't know if it was the wine that we were drinking, but we enthusiastically said yes. And then many purchases later, much more cleaning later, we made our house presentable for the holiday historic walk. And today's guest was the docent who helped show our house to the public who came through. So please join me in welcoming Maurine Nelson. One of the great parts about being able to do this is I've known you for 8 years, but until we sat down and talked about you, I really didn't know your story. So this is fun for me, and I'm glad that we've had this opportunity to talk, and I know a little bit about you, and I'm excited to share that with people.
Yeah, it's nice for anybody, you know? For all the buddies that want to get to know each other.
One thing that I learned about you, and probably those who know you, know that you're a doer. You get things accomplished. And you said to me that you come from a family of doers. So can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Well, my dad was the biggest doer, and he wanted to be able to do 3 things at one time, and couldn't understand why we couldn't go faster. And he, what's the word when you just absolutely sweep something up? You don't even try to taste it and see what it's like. That was my way my dad ate dinner. So it was just a very fast deal. You had to keep up with them if you wanted to go to the next thing. So I had 2 older sisters, and I'm the youngest, and I was quote unquote the baby. And I find now, all these years later, a number of things that I just never saw before as a place, location, a family. For those of us that went to college and studied education and so on, you got a lot of courses in place, location, and family, and what it's like, and the characteristics that are similar for the youngest and the middle one, and yada, yada, yada. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. So we had a nice home in Dearborn that had a willow tree in the front yard where we could sleep on there when we were kids. That willow tree, so that was a special place, and it was just a very nice time to grow up.
You told me that you were born in the house. Were you actually born in the house?
As the kids say, I'm born it. I was actually born it in the house. My dad was a fireman at the time. He and my aunt delivered me, and they were certain it was going to be a boy. And it was surprise, surprise, it was another girl. And but they had a name all picked out, Maurice. And so they just took, that's why my name is spelled the way it is, M-A-U-R-I-N-E instead of a double E-F. They just changed the C to a, I got Maurine.
Was it common to be born in the home, or did many people go to the hospital at that time?
Both my older sisters went to the hospital.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
So it's somewhat unique.
Yeah, it was, I was impatient from the beginning.
That does describe you, you're right. Mandy and I had our youngest daughter born at home, but this was not planned at all.
Yeah,
It was just an experience.
yeah.
You've also talked about your family being very church focused.
Yes.
So what did that look like? Does that mean going to church every Sunday?
Well, there's some more doing. Dad did the heating system for the church. My mother ran around and organized the choir and the gowns and the this and that and the other thing. And as we grew up, we went to the training programs they had for kids, like Bible study and whatnot, and being confirmed. Yeah, I was trying to see if I could remember what they called it, was being confirmed. And so then we sang in the choir, and then we followed in our parents' footsteps to some degree. So.
Okay. And that's still a big part of your life today?
Yes, yeah, yeah, it really is, especially pipe organs. I fell in love with pipe organs quite a while ago, and I had a friend when I was in college who said that the second largest pipe organ in the world was at, now I'm going to forget, the Army base for men on the East Coast.
West Point?
West Point. And so, doggone it, if I didn't find a way to go out to, with a friend, to West Point and pestered the guy who was in charge of the pipe organ until he finally said, well, let's go up and play the beast. And it was absolutely magnificent because there's another name for that too, when you have a pipe organ, or part of the pipe organ is in the upstairs part of the church, and we had an upstairs. So anyhow, so that was my love for the pipe organ. So that when the church now has kind of adopted the guitar instead, it ain't easy for me.
So did you play the pipe organ, or you just enjoyed listening to it?
I can tell you the one time I played for an audience. Would you like to hear that or not?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I was dating this fellow, and he had a pipe organ in his home, needless to say. So we were in Ann Arbor at this university, and he said, you want to go to the theater organ at the University of Michigan? He had a key to it. And I said, oh, sure, that'd be great for it. I mean, the theater was empty. So at any rate, we went down, and he said, well, now you want to play? And I said, sure. Well, the only thing I knew was Silent Night. It was at Christmas time. But I also didn't know pipe organs, which is you must hold the key down because it doesn't have its natural carryover like a piano. And so my Silent Night sounded like Silent Night. And I got all done, and there was this huge clapping in the balcony. It was the cleaning lady. And that was my debut. I loved it.
That's great. So you had the opportunity to play the pipe organ often?
Except I was naive enough as a student at Michigan, and Marilyn Mason Brown was the organist of the world. She took students to Europe to play at pipe organs there and so on. And she was at a Lutheran church here that I went to occasionally in Ann Arbor. And so I went up to her naively and I said, would you take me as a student? And she fumbled around a while to try to find a nice way to say what about it is. Are you kidding me? And absolutely not. She said, I do have some students that might be interested in teaching you. So, no, I didn't go very far in the organ department.
Well, another fun thing about this is we talked and pipe organ didn't come up at all, so it's fun to learn that you have that secret passion or love for the pipe organ. You mentioned U of M, and so U of M is where you did your undergraduate degree. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sorry. So what was your plan when you were going to college, or what did you think that you might want to be when you got out of college? What was your goal?
My goal was very simple. I did what my older sisters did. They went to Michigan, I went to Michigan. They did so-and-so, I did so-and-so, that kind of thing. The only reason I mention that is because many years later, I went back to school one more time, because I did go get a master's in Michigan after my undergraduate. But then I moved to the Washington, D.C. area. And I had a marvelous opportunity with work there, and I loved it and so on. But that also changed and came to an end. And so the first thought was, what do I want to do? I want to go back to school. But I thought about what I wanted to do, and it wasn't what Marilyn or Roberta did. And it was the first time I became aware of my choosing. It meant something to me, my choosing to do that, as opposed to just being the youngest and following along with whatever they did. So that was very, very nice to have that awareness.
So how many graduate degrees do you have?
Just two.
Just two. And you were considering going for your doctorate as well, I remember.
Well, I did it one time because after I worked in Washington and thought about what is it I would like to do, I thought I would really like to be an advocate for people, because I was an advocate for my father's illness and helped him move through the system. As we know, it ain't easy to move through the health system. And it's even just hard then too, so. I think I'm going to wander around here until I find what I was going to say again.
Well, I want to talk about DC. That's the next step in your journey, is you move to DC.
And so the point was I was going to go back to a college where I could get health, ethics, and theology, because that rounded out the individual. And so I applied to Loyola in Baltimore at the time, and they accepted me with one thing. They said, you don't have any religion courses in all your work, both the other previous degrees. Oh, that's okay. So I signed up at Wesley Seminary and loved it. It was a small campus. It was right next to AU. It was just a marvelous, marvelous experience. But I went back to the joint that was handing out PhDs. And I told her that, anyhow, she said, take some theology classes here at Loyola, and I did, and it was not for me. So I went in and said, no, I'd really not like to do that. And it happened that the dean at Wesley Seminary at that time was a woman. And when I called her and I said, what I'm working after is health, theology, health, anyhow. And I can't get the three of them out, but the three things that kind of rounded out your preparation for being an advocate for somebody. But they did not have a PhD program, but I said, that's okay, I'll just take what you got. You're going to take what you've got. Health, ethics, and theology, that's what it was. So the dean said, oh, come on back, Maurine, and come on back home, is the way she put it, and we'll let you do what you want. So that's when I did what I wanted, which was to take health, ethics, theology, and luckily, I could take ethics at Georgetown and health at George Washington, and then looks like you had the theology. So. And it was a smaller campus. It was wonderful.
And you were working at the time?
Yeah. Part-time, not full-time. So.
Okay, that was a busy time.
Yeah.
Studying those three.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about DC. You moved from Michigan to DC. What was the motivation for that move?
Well, the motivation was I had finished my degree at Michigan, my graduate degree, and I was again footloose and fancy-free, and what do you do now, kind of a thing. And so I had a mother mentor. I was teaching school in Ann Arbor to challenged children, and it wasn't so much teaching as it was trying to be somewhat of a counselor for them. So at any rate, she was just something else. She was about 15 years my senior, and she was a wonderful teacher for me. So one day we were at a professional meeting in Washington, D.C. on a bus, and she said, you ought to think of someplace like this. That was April, and in July, I lived in Bethesda, Maryland. So that one was one of this, yep, that's a good idea, let's go.
Wow.
So
And was that
And that was the beginning of Washington DC, which was, about 25, 30 years there, so it was a wonderful experience.
And so most notably, you worked at the American College of Radiology.
Right.
And was your job to direct continuing education? Was that?
Yeah, well, it just happened that the federal government was after physicians at that time to make them get a test to go back to practice instead of just going to be refreshed. And so there was one time the medicine really got together and they really lobbied that because they did not want to have to go and take tests after every 7 years. And what came out was continuing medical education. And most of the universities then had their setup all in place because they were already a university offering these courses. And so the American College of Radiology had an office in Chicago, and then they opened one in Bethesda, Maryland. And the lady above me, it was very fancy, kind of not like we're used to now of being examined and take tests by some kind of fancy counselor, to get a job and so. Now the lady upstairs said, "You ought to talk to that lady downstairs. She has an education background." So they were looking for somebody in education, and they hired me. And I eventually worked there quite a few years and became the continuing education director of the courses. I didn't do anything in radiology. I just did the cleaning lady stuff,
Okay, there's a story about that.
Yeah.
Someone that I talked to told me a story about you being with some doctors. And something about the cleaning lady story. Do you know the story?
Yeah.
Will you tell that story?
Well, we had a meeting, and it was, at the time, again, it was, a different time because women were not looked at having a professional job. And anyhow, these guys from the office, we were all administrators for courses and programs in radiology. And there were 2 or 3 of us that went to Cincinnati to meet with radiologists at that university. And while we were meeting, before that, when I walked in, the secretary said to me, "What do you do?" Because I'm there with all these men, and she's the secretary. So I said, "Oh, I'm the cleaning lady." It's the easiest thing to describe. So it gets better, because now I go back in the office, scorched in with these 4 men, and I drop my purse. And being gentlemen, boy, they leaped right up there to start picking up at it. I said, "I don't want anybody picking up stuff from my purse at all." And with that, the door opened, and the secretary looked down, and she said, "You really are the cleaning lady." So that's my curricula vitae.
That is great. I like how it's consistent that you undersell what you do, and that's a funny way to do it.
Yeah, well, it was fun.
So, before we leave the American College of Radiology, so your job was to create courses, not teach radiology,
Right.
but create courses. And you also said that your goal was to help patients move through the system.
Yeah.
So you accomplished both
Yeah,
those
but
goals?
I couldn't do that on the job. That was something I did apart from the job.
I see.
And on the job, mainly what I did is, with the radiologists, we worked together as a team, set up coursework and so on. We did do examinations for residents so if they could study for the exam. There were all kinds of things in education that we did, and we did it as a team, the radiologists and the cleaning lady. And so it was a rich time.
I'm jumping ahead just a bit, but doesn't this sound a lot like the beginnings of the Adult Learning Institute?
Oh, yeah, there's no question about that, yeah.
Which started, I believe, the same year you moved back to Michigan. Coincidentally, right?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, here it started in 2005 or 6, Dad. I think it was, it was around the
Well,
latest 2006.
I'm making a joke because it happened to start when you moved back to Michigan and helped launch it here at Chelsea.
Yeah, Well, I kept whining around everybody after I moved here, you know, what can I do? Is it, some people know I'm still doing it. What can I do? And there's nothing exciting, and where do I find things to get involved in? On and on and on and on. Anyhow, and somebody said, is it okay for me to mention names?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you like.
Somebody said, why don't you talk to Ann Feeney? And she knows a lot about what's going on and so on. So I talked to Ann Feeney, and she was wonderful. You know, she just laid out, here are the people, because I told her about the program, because I had just come from Maryland and had started one there. I didn't do it alone, I didn't do any of this alone, so don't be thinking that I said that, but at any rate, so Ann Feeney introduced me, or gave me the name. She said, tell Ann sent you. So that's how we got started for the adult learners, because the adult learners had a problem, which is that most of those were lodged in universities. They were the continuing education part of the university. And so that consequently, we didn't have a place to have classes. And that's where Daphne came in, because the first class we had, first group of classes we had kind of a thing, Daphne came in, she said, your AV stinks, write a contract to get a better AV department. So I did, and that's how everybody helped. Ann Feeney did, and she did, and a number of other, and then people just started really getting hooked on going and having classes and having 17, 18 classes to choose from every fall and spring. Something to do, nothing else.
Mm-hmm. How many people here have attended an ALI course? Oh, okay, this is great. So I'm signed up for 3 classes after talking with you. I've seen the brochure before, but I looked at it more seriously after talking to you. And I'm so excited that it's so close to home. And in some cases, there are people that I know teaching them. And it's a great resource for our community to have that.
Yeah, it's a lovely program, and the Rhodes Scholar gets all the credit. It used to be, what was it called before Rhodes Scholar? Anyhow, and they started it in the 70s all through the United States. So there are 350 of these programs in the United States now, because people wanted to have that in their town. And when you have a university, well, Chelsea didn't have a university. So we had to go begging for rental space. And that's how we did that with the people locally here that helped get us connected so that we could have classes all over and we wouldn't have to worry about, or pay. Because, this is not a big career change. So don't sign up so you're going to get paid for much, because nobody gets paid except the administrator and the ALI as a secretary to keep track of everything.
So this has been going since 2006 here in Chelsea.
Yeah.
And how many people do you think take classes
Well,
regularly?
we know that about 200 take classes every time, and the classes are in the fall and the spring. And there are about 18 classes, and so that's it's a full house generally. With Zoom now, they're leaving the registration open. Before they had to close it when they got full, if they had a small enough room.
I'm so excited to explore this. I just didn't know what to expect, and so I'm going to have a large room of people when I attend Charlie Taylor's Brain
The
Talk.
average is about 11 to 12 people per class. Every now and then it's a lot more than that. When it's Charlie Taylor, for example, always draws probably 25 or 30 people, especially when he does his brain discussions and so on. So
That's one of the ones I signed up for.
Yeah. So, but there may be some that may be 8 or 9 people, but the average is about 11.
So this is consistent with what you did at the American College of Radiology, is creating courses for radiologists. And now I know it's not you, but the vision in 2006 was to create something for the senior community. And it must be gratifying to see it so successful.
Yeah, it really is, because I say to everybody, as Tom well knows, you know, Chelsea's the one that was the one that caused you to have this popularity. They are the ones that attend and come every year. And so Chelsea feels it's a benefit, good enough for me.
It's true. If you put on a show and no one comes to the show,
Yeah.
that's no good. So,
Yeah.
so that's, anyway, I think that there's a community of thanks for your vision back in 2006 to bring it here. Let me think. There's some other things that some people said that I want to ask you about. Someone told me that if you want something done, tell Maurine it can't be done. Does that sum you up?
Well,
In some
yeah,
respects?
somewhat, although I'd like to think I have a little bit of, what do I want to call, when you look at something and analyze it a little bit. Anyhow, I can't think of the word, so.
Perception? What?
No, not, so, anyhow, it'll come
Okay.
it'll come about 3 o'clock.
Let's talk more about, I think this is your passion, is helping people see seniors in a different light, or maybe, you know, there's a movie that I watched called The Intern. I don't know if you watched The Intern. Have you seen this movie?
No.
Robert De Niro is a 70-year-old retiree, and he's decided that retirement life is just not for him. So he applies as an intern at a company. And of course, it's funny because during the interview process, one of the questions are, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I can't remember how he answered it, but it was really a great movie in that this older guy played a very valuable role.
Well, I have to think I did see it then, yeah.
There was a young CEO running the company who needed some leadership expertise. And so it puts seniors maybe in a different light than you would normally think. So is that something that you think about a lot?
Well, I only do because I'm now in it. And a whole bunch of other people, however they feel about it, is that I'll just give you some statistics. In about 10 years ago, 19% of the people that retired signed up to volunteer. That number's dropped to 30% now. And so the growth of seniors is dramatic now, with living longer. And so, you know, you may have retired once and gone through that retirement brain dance, and now you're doing it again, in a sense. But there's a whole timing out there now, I think, for seniors, that there's not, I don't know how to say it, but there's not somebody saying, oh good, it's like adolescence, or it's like so-and-so's, that stage of life. We haven't come up with the name of this stage of life other than seniors, and some people don't have very nice pictures of seniors. They're sitting on the, you know, porch and rocking and staring and whatnot. So I'd like to see us really make sure that seniors hold a very good, or are held in a very good image, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, I think the ALI is doing a lot to change that, I think. And it's good just talking about it, I think.
Yeah,
It makes people think about it.
Yeah.
I want to share another reflection about you that someone told me. When she wants something accomplished, she'll keep pushing. There's a theme here.
Pushy broad is the thing.
No way. I want to stop for a moment and see if anyone has questions for Maurine from the audience.
Yeah, exactly. What was your degree in from U of M?
My undergraduate degree was education and psychology.
So
My
graduate.
graduate degree was
Okay.
pretty much the same thing. It was in the same place. It was in Michigan. So.
Okay.
I was the chairman of the grant committee on Chelsea's, sick, what's the word?
Community Foundation?
Yes, the
Oh,
committee.
okay.
And I would run into her and I'd say, apply for a grant, Maureen. We have money. Nobody was applying for grants. We tried to publicize ourselves. And finally she started applying, we started throwing money at her.
She did. She came in and said, your AV stinks, do something about it, write a grant. Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
That was great. Mandy, anything from you?
You know,
Well, I was gonna, I mean, the fun that we had with Maureen when she was at our house for the holiday walk, it was really a great time. Who are these strangers that are leading people through our house? And it started a whole relationship 8 years ago.
Yeah, it did, it was
That was
wonderful.
a way up, but it sure come to it. I wasn't even.
We talked about this book a couple times by Sue Monk Kidd.
Oh, yeah.
It's called When the Heart Waits. Is that right? Does anybody know this book?
Was there,
Maybe you want to tell us.
What?
When the Heart Waits. When
the heart
the Heart Waits.
waits?
She's quite an author, but it would be a mix of religion and philosophy and a number of things like that. In her book, When the Heart Waits, I mean, she really nails these things, and she has such a good feel for getting how she gets the word across. Let's see if I can remember one that she. So that you say, oh my goodness, here's somebody that understands where I am. It's that kind of a book, so
Yeah.
I really, really like her. I don't think she's an author, you know, like 55 books or anything, but she's got 6 or 7, and this one, When the Heart Waits, is very, very, very helpful to the average senior.
I mean, I did a little bit of searching on it, and I thought it was, I mean, I think about some of the struggles that I have had in my life, and it was like, I remember wishing that I could get through that. And so it was the waiting part that was really the hardest part. And so I imagine that it would apply to not just seniors, but maybe it's directed towards seniors.
Yeah, well, when she wrote this book, she was really referring to her own midlife crisis. But she made sure that she could take her midlife crisis and put it aside for any kind of a crisis. She had, whatever her formula was, she just had a formula for that, and it didn't have to be that particular. So if you looked at that and you say, well, I'm not in a midlife crisis, you know, I'm not blah, blah, blah. So that her appeal is across the board, helpful to anybody, even people that, you know, even people that that'll come back to.
Well, it sounds like that's a very inspirational book.
Yeah, I think it really is. It's well written, and it's not written with a lot of academic stuff in it. You know, it's written so that it really appeals to the average Joe. Everybody's been to a class. I don't mean hers, but I was just thinking about all of you have been to an ALI class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's remarkable. Going back to DC for one moment, you worked at the NIH after the American College of Radiology. I don't know if you want to talk about that experience.
Well, it was short-lived, but it was, I had a friend who worked at NIH, and she was director of something or another, and she wanted somebody, in her words, who would get something done, so she hired me on a contract basis. But it was also at the time that medicine was dealing with the whole individual. So instead of being a GI radiologist, a GI, GU, your chest, pretty soon you got the human body so chopped up you don't know what's doing what with who. And so at that particular time, and they were just starting an integrated, they were using that language at the time, integration, integrated association, and colleges were having seminars now on the whole body instead of, we're gonna take you apart, piece by piece. And when you put you back together, we don't know if we got a good thing or a bad, kind of thing, so.
So you look at the whole body.
Look at the whole, and that
The whole
time,
person.
that was really getting very popular in medicine then.
And then what brought you back to Michigan in 2006?
My family, and it was, my husband had passed away, and I didn't like that drive all by myself. And I did it lots of times, and most of my family was in the Michigan area still. And so I just wanted to be closer to home on that score. And I had the best of Washington, and now I was in the worst of it because you couldn't go anyplace without at least a half an hour wait to get out of your driveway. I mean, it was just getting very crowded and not pleasant living, so.
And did you buy that big, beautiful car out there, or when you got back to Michigan?
And then I got back to Michigan. And just again, it happened, I went to get my hair cut the other day. There's a barber shop for men right next door. And usually they come out and tease me a little bit about something. This guy came out, he still had his shirt that he cuts in, and
Oh.
he still had his cutting outfit on. He came running out and he said, don't you ever think of getting rid of that car until you consult all of us. I said, yes, sir, I promise.
Everybody knows the car that I'm talking about.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, Sandra doesn't know about your car.
Yeah, it's a big old, somebody was driving it just fairly recently, says, Maurine, this is more like driving a tank. It's a great big old Lincoln, just real wide and big and comfortable, and I love it.
What year is it?
2009, supposedly Ford was stopping making them then. I'm not sure of that, but that's what somebody told me. So if that's the case,
I have to say, everywhere she goes, she finds a parking place that fits
No
her.
kidding.
yes, we do. Daphne and I go to this place on a regular basis, and we started parking right in front of it on Main Street. Well, for the next 4 or 5 times we did that, we always said, it was like our parking space. We should put our name up there. Don't.
And people stop to watch her park.
And you're a confident parallel parker with that big car.
I'm not bad.
That's great.
In fact, there was a couple at the Ugly Dog. I was meeting a friend for a drink. There was a couple at the Ugly Dog, and they were sitting outside. And I was parking my car to go and join my friend. And I got about like halfway across the street. This guy leaps out of his seat and he comes running over and he said, I have never seen anybody, certainly not a woman, park a car parallel as beautifully. I thought he was going to give me a medal.
It sounds like you deserve one.
Yeah.
So since I mentioned that we met 8 years ago, there have been sightings where I would see you driving that car around town, and I'd come home and tell Mandy, I saw Maureen driving that big white car. And it was like a great thing to see, so.
I mean, the function for me is I'm tall and whatnot, and I'm telling you, I just love the comfort, And I did have another one before I moved back to Michigan, because I do remember driving, or maybe when I drove back, I can't remember exactly, but anyhow, it makes a difference for 4 or 5 hours of driving to have Betsy out there with you.
Betsy. Maureen, is there anything that you wanted to say, any message you want to deliver to the audience, or?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything to take away as far as I'm concerned, Chelsea is the one that made ALI what it is, period. So Chelsea benefits from it, and Chelsea gets the benefit back, so.
We should all spread the gospel of ALI,
Yeah,
because there's a lot to be gained from it.
yeah.
Well, if you have nothing else to say, I want to close by saying thank you, Maureen. It's been great getting to know you better.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Nice having somebody care.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now we're recording. recorded for history or something?
Yeah, for history.
Yeah. No, it's a nice thing he's doing,
Very nice.
getting
Could I
people
ask a-
tuned in.
Maureen, could I
Right,
ask you,
John?
could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you work for Dr. Fauci?
Did I do what?
Work for Dr. Fauci?
No.
Oh, but you knew him.
Yeah, but because I was in the same spot that he was, NIH, yeah. But, you know, I was so far down the totem pole, you couldn't find me, you know.
She was just a cleaning lady. They don't talk to the doctors.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking of